Okay, thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I have just a couple of things, short update. My husband and I went to the spelling bee a couple of weeks ago. We really like going. I give a lot of credit to those kids for their courage of standing up on that stage and spelling those words, and to be able to spell those words in middle school. And I kind of write the words down as they're spelling them, and I can't spell all of them either, you know. So I give them a lot of credit, and good luck to Sienna Ring for advancing to the regionals. Tomorrow night, weather permitting, I guess, that will be the first meeting of the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance are having their first joint meeting. You can attend via Zoom or in person at the Merrill Sine room. And I think they're going to start going through the budget jointly and ask questions.
Did they do that last week?
They started last week.
Oh, that
And
was
it's
last week, the
Wednesday.
first one. This will be the second one.
It'll be Wednesday.
It's going to be Wednesday.
Wednesday is when it's because they have that's the date that's on the agenda.
Okay, sorry about that, then I'm a week behind. Well,
It's okay.
hey, I was on vacation, I have an excuse.
Bill has his hand up.
Yes, Bill.
The meeting is tomorrow.
Oh, it is
Can you speak up a little louder, please?
The meeting is tomorrow. And they are going through.
I thought it was tomorrow. I looked it up on the web.
Departments that they're going through. DPW was on the agenda, but they were taken off because of the storm.
Okay. Well,
Sense.
it's an idea. I think it'll touch on the number of workshops and them bumping up against the wall, having to make quick decisions.
The idea with the joint meetings is. What we noticed in the past was that there was a lot of repetition in the initial meetings between the board that were from the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance. So the idea here is that the first 4 meetings would be joint and both boards would hear directly from the directors on their budgets. So the hope is that that will streamline the budget process and ultimately buy us some more time on the back end should additional referendums be done, or if things just go well, that offshots the budget cycle goes quicker than usual.
Okay.
So I think we all wouldn't
I
mind.
think it's a great idea. And on that note, I'd like to thank the 3 Board of Finance members who have been faithfully attending our meetings via Zoom and in person. And that's all I have to say tonight. Okay, any citizens' comments from here or on Zoom? Yes, state your name and address and.
Louise Morrison, Thompson Education Association President. I would just like to invite the Board of Ed on March 28th from 5 to 7. We will be doing bedtime stories again. And Lindsay Calarco will be sending you invitations, but
We got
I
them.
said I would be here, so I would personally invite you. We get 100 to 150 people that come out in their pajamas, and we always need readers, and it's a really fun night to see the kids and things like that.
Oh, sorry, I'm talking to somebody.
Oh, okay. I also have some good news, but I would like this to, I'm not sure how to get this out. So the State Department of Education offered $4 million of COVID relief money. And 31 of our projects have been funded, which is $26,850.
Wow.
It's not $1,000 each. The most you can get from donor is $850. But I would say 90% of those projects were done over the weekend by teachers in their free time. And I just wanted to get it out so that people don't think that it's $30,000 that they can take off the budget. This is wish list things that we would never, ever ask for. You can see out here, poor Jimmy Burgess thinks he's the Amazon delivery man now. There's tables, people got tables, they got flexible seating, things that we would never, ever ask for. So, you know, it's not like money that can be saved. this is like wish, make your whatever you would like. But, you know, a third of our staff applied, and I'm hoping we get a few more. People have heard up until this afternoon. I heard somebody got approved this afternoon.
Oh.
That was one of the people that filed Monday. The money was open on February 1st. And by Monday afternoon, and that was Thursday, right?
Yes.
Thursday?
Yeah.
And by Monday afternoon, it was gone.
Oh.
So, but people got funded, they heard within 24 hours and things started arriving within 2 days.
Wow.
So, you know, we've gotten a lot of good supplies, a lot of tables, a lot of furniture. Like I said, things that people would never ask for. So it's not,
Kathleen. In regards to the donors choose, I know elementary PTO tries to go on and search and share as much as possible on those. Is it possible to have both middle school, like just give them a reminder to reach out to the middle school PTO, because we'd be happy to share those on their Facebook page too.
this.
For
didn't even-
any outside that wasn't already
Yes.
funded.
No, so these didn't even get posted on the page.
Right,
It just went there is 2 out there that, one is a high school one and one is a middle school one. If you didn't put the code Connecticut in, it got posted. I will get you those 2.
that would be fantastic.
But besides, it never even went public,
Right,
so.
right. But going forward, if any of them
Yeah,
have any,
no.
please reach out to the PTOs because we'll happily share those.
Yeah, this was just, you know, we got an email, get on this,
Exactly.
so we did.
Louise, I did share with the board what you had sent me, but if you have that updated list, it'd be interesting to share with the board.
I will, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm still waiting for a couple more people that submitted like Monday afternoon,
Okay,
so hopefully we'll hear some more.
that'd be good.
Any citizens' comments from our audience on Zoom? No? Hearing none, no more from the audience, I'll move on to student spotlight. And our liaison report.
There was no student spotlight for the month of February, there are community events. On the 10th and 7th of February, we had a teenagers party. On the 5th, myself and Liz Davis had a DMA performance at Georgeson and Yukon. On the 12th of January, the FBLA product panel came. On the 14th of January, FBLA went to the Bruins game. On January 29th, the mystery dinner was a huge success. On February the 2nd, CSLC rescheduled their in-service. On February the 3rd, myself and Ms. Davis auditioned for All-State. On February the 5th, report cards were distributed. On February the 6th, PTN opening ceremony occurred. On February the 8th, yearbook photos, clubs, activities, and new panoramic and with the board photos were taken. On February 9th, oral assembly and semester awards were presented. And on the 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th, the team and collaborate events by fishing and food. And on the 16th, this Friday, the TSLC will retreat to Camp Walker.
The upcoming events are the Peter Pan rehearsals, which are ongoing. February 19th, FBLA ice skating. February 23rd, there's a TSMC in-service. March 4th, student council meeting. March 5th, a parent-player meeting for spring sports. March 6th, Team HS Pops concert. March 8th, Midnight Madness, and March 12th, Cereal Challenge.
And some other news and highlights of the sports update where the girls and the boys on the 7th and the boys on the 9th will have their senior nights against Putnam and both won. The freshmen won the attendance competition for quarter 2. 33 Tiger Paws are serving in classrooms across the district, and the TMHS Diversity Council was commended with the goal of improving the climate and culture of athletics.
Thank you.
Thank you. We haven't had a student, I have a question. We haven't had a student spotlight in a couple of months. So how does that work? Somebody actually has to nominate someone and they haven't been?
Yes, so our SSA has gone under new management. So we're having our 2 new advisors just getting into it, but Student Spotlight will start up for next month.
Okay, let's hope, because that's a nice feature. Okay, approval of minutes from our last regular meeting and our last 3 budget meetings. Well, actually, our last three budget meetings. Except for the one. Right. Well, recent, most recent. Right. Okay, you want to do them all in one? Yes.
Kathleen, I'll make the motion to approve the meeting minutes for January 8th, the 16th, 22nd, and the 29th.
Okay. Awesome. And Kristen seconds them. We have a motion and a second, any discussion on any of these? Hearing no discussion, I will put the motion to approve the regular meeting and the 3 budget meetings of January to the floor for a vote. All in favor of approving these minutes, say aye.
Aye.
And anyone not approving the minutes, say no. Motion passes. We didn't have any subcommittees other than the budgets, so we will,
Kathleen,
yeah, no. Okay,
Kathleen. Is it possible to have a discussion about the survey under subcommittee, or should that go under old business?
that would be under old business, that's
Okay.
not a sub.
All right.
Okay, we can do that under old business. Okay. Caps.
Yes, so we have a big audience here tonight because we have 6 young men and women that have been nominated by their schools, by their classroom teachers for the Superintendent's Award. And that nomination comes from the teachers, and then a committee in each school selects those nominees for me. And then we get to go out to Killingley High School where the regional awards are given. But before we go out next month, we wanted to invite you to our own Board of Education meeting. So I'm going to call up the students and give you your certificates, your superintendent awards. And then if you could face the audience, we'll take a group picture. Okay, so the first one is Christian Burns. You look very handsome.
Yeah.
They take this and go around this way and stand in front of here, okay?
Sure.
Emma Moriarty. Was also a finalist in the spelling bee. She did a great job at the spelling bee. Brody Vincent. Thank you for being here. Madison Marchitelli. Thank you so much. Maxine Hazard. And we all know Maxine from her work in the theater department, the music department.
Wonderful.
And Connor Pedersen. Take your picture on the front. And then on March, is it March 26th, Danielle? Yeah. March 26th, we're going to be off at Killingley High School where you'll be honored for the region. So it's a big deal. Thank you all for being here.
Congratulations.
Okay, next we're going to recognize the spelling bee winners, which I love going to, as I said before. This is one of the highlights of our year, that and all the musical concerts that we, and the play. But this one is a lot of fun to go to. But if you haven't gone, you gotta go to it, because it is a lot of fun. And it just, I do crossword puzzles, so it helps. Okay, first award goes to Phoenix Comic-Con. Oh, that's the thing. And our next award to the winners, Sienna Ring. Perfect job.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna take a look and see. I'll get you. Great, thank you. Thanks, Charlie. Congratulations. Okay, and so if those students want to skedaddle and go home and start their homework, you are welcome to leave. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda is our enrollment report.
Okay. We currently have 856 students in the district. This past month, we have 380 students at Mary R. Fisher. That is a reduction of 3 students. We have 264 students at Thompson Middle School. That's a reduction of 1 student. And then we have 211 students at Turtle Rock Memorial High School. That's a reduction of 2 students. There's been a lot of activity in and out of the district. As you know, it goes down, it goes up. Right now, we're at a low for the year. But we have been enrolling some students at the high school and at the middle school. So those numbers are going to fluctuate, but that's where we stand right now. And I'll leave it to Dr. Jones to talk about out of district in a little bit.
Okay, next we have Ms. Miller from T, discuss the extension.
Danielle, can you?
Yep.
Share?
I'm on it.
I also have 2 paper copies that I can part with if anybody wants to look a little closer. Feel free to grab them or send them to me and I'll give them to you. I don't know if you have a copy of this, Melinda.
Danielle does, and we have an extra copy we
Great.
can circulate. We just didn't want to kill so many, please.
You want to share one, Heather?
Sure. You want to share?
Share one.
Thank you. So, I want to say maybe about 2 years ago, we realized that we were outgrowing our building. And I think that's both a good problem and a bad problem. Most problems are bad problems, but part of what it says is that people are willing to use Teague on a number of different levels. So Teague is not only a food pantry, as you know. First of all, we're food markets. We serve as a hub for other markets in the area because we are fortunate enough to have a walk-in cooler and freezer. We added solar a few years ago, so we're a net zero building, which is a nice thing. Because of the activity in our youth programs, which we became a youth service bureau for Thompson, Pomfret, Woodstock, and Putnam in 2019, right before the pandemic. And I have to say that when I talk about our relationship with the town of Thompson and with the Thompson schools. You have all really leaned in to that youth service work, and I think that it's been a really great partnership. We have your kids down at our building for many different reasons. It might be attendance, it might be our out of school suspension program, which we use when students are suspended. They come to our building twice a week so that they're not just having an at-home suspension, but they're coming down to do some work. They're coming down, not only school work, but they do some community service work. We have a lot of your students volunteering, working in our gardens, working in our markets. And it's just it's a great thing to be on your campus. I don't think we have a better relationship with any other school. And it's great. It should be a model for YSBs across Connecticut. So we called together the group of people, mainly the group of people that had designed the original Teague building. Charlie Whedon was one of them. Charlie is a builder in Pomfret, and Steve, forget his name. What is Steve's name? That's embarrassing. Anyway, our architect, it will come to me. Steve came in and started working on what we could do to expand the existing Teague building, which is right here. Here is where it faces the road that goes up to the fields. And what we were thinking was, well, we could do some bump outs. We could build an addition here. Maybe we could do an addition here. He did give us some options. The group that met was the original group plus a few new people. Because of the setbacks on the property, we can't really go out this way. We could put a small bump here in the office area. We have 3 people sharing a desk in our back office area. Most people are in cubbies, which is the way that the building was designed. So this isn't sharing a desk in an office. It's sharing a public desk that's kind of out in the middle of everything else. We could do a very small bump here. We can't go up because of the design of the building. We could do a bump here. We could take away some parking lot and do a very small bump here. We have a generator here. And then we asked Steve Lewis, I'm sorry. So we asked Steve to go back and to look again at where we might bump out. There's all ledge in here. There's ledge back in here. So he looked again and said, well, you could bump to about here, go this way and have your front door here, and you'd get an extra channel here. None of that really serves what we're trying to do. Our community room sits right in here. Our community room is used for many, many different purposes for all ages across the population, for programming, for our juvenile review board, which meets there twice a month. For our ASAP summer camp for behavioral youth, for our mentors to use with their mentees. We also have playgroup meeting there twice a week. It's busy. It's really busy. We're flipping that room sometimes 3 or 4 times a day, flipping the furniture and trying to turn it into something else. And then this part of the building right here, approximately this much, is our market. And off the back here is a freezer and a cooler. So Steve gave us quite a few different options. One was an option, maybe putting something up in here with some extra spaces for parking. One was an option to put a building over here. We did a lot of calculating. We did a lot of looking at this. And what the committee came up with was, this was going to give us the most space, the most flexible space. It would free up our market. Our market would go over here on this. We would be building a second floor on the building, which would hold a lot of our community programs, offices, things. Starting in January 1st, things start coming in for our auction. Our community programs office, which is about as big as these tables, is filled with things for our auction. We have no other place to put those. And diapers. We also run our diaper bank out of that office. As soon as that starts to come out, back to school starts coming in, back to school goes out, and Thanksgiving comes in, Thanksgiving goes out, and Christmas just it just really kind of is everywhere. So, we're thinking that a lot of that storage would be over here in this building, some meeting space. Downstairs is processing space and market space and a loading dock, so that right now we have to offload off of trucks. We don't have a way to get anything off of trucks. We did milk during the pandemic and ended up having to move over to QVCC because we couldn't get to some folks won't deliver to us without a loading dock. So this would be a loading dock. It would take up some of the parking lot. Yes, that's true, but it also does account for extra spaces that Steve has put in over here. So you wouldn't lose parking. This is where the gray storage container that we've named Dorian for Dorian Gray. She lives over here now. So she would be removed and this building would be here. You would enter from the back and from underneath. Was not really what we were thinking when we began this project. We were really thinking of just a small bump out here or there, and maybe we'd get a really big community room out of it. It just seems like that's not going to happen despite a number of different scenarios. Now, the other thing that I want to make really clear is the reason that we started this process was we saw a couple of really sizable grants through some of the grantors that we work with. We knew we needed more space, so we called the band back together, asked them to look at things, and asked them to get us a project that would be shovel ready for a grant rather than shovel ready for actually building this project. Because we can't go out for a grant if we have no idea what we're asking for. Our original thought was to bump out the end of the market by a little bit, and it just doesn't give us the room that we need. It doesn't give us any more office space. It doesn't give us any more meeting space. I don't know when this is going to happen. I don't see it happening soon. I don't know that we're in the position to do it right now. I know we need the space very, very badly, but I'm not telling you that this is going to happen tomorrow. I'm not telling you it's going to happen next year. Our goal is to do it without asking for funding from this area. The building would again belong to the town as our building does now. It would be, you know, if Teague leaves, these buildings belong to the town. They sit on the school campus. I think that's as much as I really have to say, but I would really invite you to ask me any questions. I may be forgetting something.
What is the estimated cost today? Obviously,
Today.
if you build it 5 years from now, it's gonna be
Yeah.
significantly different.
It started out, somebody said, oh, we'll go for 500,000. I think this building will be $1.5 to $2 million all day long.
Yep.
Right? I mean, that's not what we were looking for when we started this process. I don't want to build a $1.5 to $2 million building.
Right.
We do have a board that is very active and very invested in making happen what needs to happen. I think it would be a great addition to the area. It would take a little bit of the parking spaces, make things a little more congested down there. But the cost is pretty overwhelming at this point. I am talking to a funder next week who I'm told has a great deal of capacity and interest. What if that person just came up with the money? I guess then it could happen quicker, right? But I really don't know. We did dig a few test pits. We do know what the drainage is like there, what we're looking at for ledge and so forth. But I don't know how much else. My other hesitation with the building, and I think it's kind of funny to present a building, but talk about hesitations, but I like to be really open about what my concerns are. I'm leaving at the end of November. I think most folks know that. And a second building it's like saying, oh, the whole district's under one roof here, right? You're running 3 different schools. A separate building is a really big deal for somebody to oversee. Your costs are going to be, again, this will be an efficient building. It'll be a building that is sited so that we can add solar. It's going to be sort of passively geothermal again, which our building is, but as you know, there's more administration to a second building. There's more everything to a second building. So when I was thinking that it would be an addition, I was really thinking one way. This is a whole new way to think about that.
I have a question, just, I know you said there were setback restraints and stuff with why a second building was what was in the picture. And you had mentioned kind of this side and this side. Now, you do have existing parking over here. Was there no option to place the building adjoining within the
yes.
existing parking with?
That was the building that we all really liked. There
Yeah.
was but it turns out that there are setbacks there. The fence cuts right across there. And that actually became a problem at one point, but that fence and that property line runs in very close. There's a drop. Yes, it could be filled in, but then there's a setback right there.
Right.
But yes, that was my favorite. It was a lot of our favorites, and it really would have done quite a bit, but it just can't be fit into that space the way that he wanted to.
And I'm just thinking also just from an efficiency standpoint, obviously, like you said, 2 separate buildings makes it less efficient. In the weather, whether it be snow or rain, to have people having to go back and forth between buildings is troubling, a little bit, but.
The other thing that I've been talking about is we have a social worker now in the market every time the market's open, because what we find is that people come in through our market and then access all of our other things.
Right,
And now it's great when playgroup happens. If people have that need, the market's right there. There's a lot to be said for that. So I feel that there will be some losses in that way, and we're going to have to look really carefully at how we continue that relationship. If I have that social worker out there, they're going to be working in the same way. And let me make an appointment and have you walk over, or let's have the caseworker come over and meet you, and we have an office space here. That's going to have to happen.
And I just have one other question. So, and I'm for Teague and I'm happy for your possible expansion. But I do hear some stuff on our social media sites.
So do I.
Regarding, folks that maybe don't think as like-minded, and I just want to kind of know what the implications are. So having it be a town building on town property. Obviously, you guys have paid for the building through grants or fundraising or whatever. And I know obviously that there's been a recent issue with some maintenance on the current building, and it is getting older, so we should anticipate a little bit of that. What is the agreement with the town of Thompson in terms of the maintenance of now potentially 2 buildings? So what are we on the hook for if the roof fails or if something else happens now that there's going to be 2?
So like a renter, we take care of all of the regular maintenance on the building, painting, upkeep, fixing a broken door, anything under $500, the town sees nothing. And our lease is only $1 a year. We will double the amount that the town's taking in on the lease. So they'll be getting $2 a year. Right? But we do pay up to $500 on every repair. So the repairs that we're talking about now are a failed air unit, which is an air circulation unit with fresh air. And the other repair that we're talking about is we have a generator on that building. The building can be used in times when if there's, needs to be a warming center or anything like that, the building is fully on a generator. But there's a conduit from that generator that comes underneath the parking lot and into the building. You see where this is going? And the mice came in and they were living inside the metal. We had just had DSS, the Department of Health, and the Connecticut Food Bank come in. Nobody knew there were mice. They weren't in the building. They were in this metal box in between, but they were happily chewing on wires in there. So that's the other cost. So the cost comes to, I think, about $6,500, and Teague will pay $1,000 of that. But that kind of maintenance, yes, the town has. They don't have maintenance on our freezers or anything like that. If we do any kind of improvement to the Wi-Fi, any of that we do. So yes, there are implications to the town with a second building. You're absolutely right. We do serve that. I know that's read all the section.
I know.
But I know that another concern is, why should Teague be paying for these other towns to use our building? Or why should we be providing, why should Thompson be providing this building for other towns? other towns put money into Teague, just like Thompson does. They all work at different percentages. We're trying to get everyone to 12%. Pomfret is actually the only town that's at 12%. We also have a market in Pomfret, and we have a senior center, and we have case management there, and people from Thompson actually go there as well. And they go to our mobile market in Woodstock as well. They go to Putnam for our Got Drama program. So there really is more of a sharing, but I know that a concern is why is Thompson paying for all of this when, and so Thompson's value of service for the year that I just reported on, which is fiscal year 22-23, which ran till July. And of course, we're asking for not the year we're in, but next year. The value of service for that year was $802,000. The value of service for the other towns is in the 200s. So Thompson does have the lion's share. We sit right here, right? That makes sense.
Yep.
And there is great need here. But there's need in the other towns too, and we do serve at quite a good clip there. But the fact is that Thompson's just out much further out than the rest. So.
And just one additional thing. So, one of the other things that was mentioned was, whether you, and I assume this is true, that you guys pay for your own heat and electricity. The town of Thompson does not. We just are more the maintenance of the building, less your deductible, so to speak,
Right.
of 500.
Right, and we do all of the cleaning maintenance on the building, the yard, I have to say that the folks at the school, when we get a snowstorm, are really helpful with helping us clean up our parking lots and so forth. But any shoveling we even do after that, and we maintain our property. So there isn't any cost to the town. In fact, we're giving stuff back to the grid.
Absolutely, right.
So there's, yeah, thank you. Good questions. Anybody else? I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you want to look at any of the others, I will leave another set here if you'd like. And I guess I'll be back if we get closer to where we want to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anne.
Thank you.
And remember the Have a Heart auction next month.
Have a Heart is April 5th.
Oh, April 5th. Okay.
Yep, April 5th, and that's a Friday night. And if you want tickets, just go online or give us a call. We'd love to have you there. It's really fun. It's really, really.
We'll be there. Hey. Any other questions, Brian? No? Okay. And then the HVAC inspection report review.
Yep, and I'm gonna turn that over to Bill, about the HVAC review.
So the reason we have this HVAC review on here tonight is that, as you know, for almost 2 years ago now, we had an architectural firm, HF Lens, come in and do an evaluation of the entire HVAC system for the whole complex. They completed that. They had all their findings, they created the report. They gave us a cost estimate, which was the basis for now 2 applications to the state for funding in the amount of $13.2 million to do upgrades and improvements throughout the facility. So part of the whole process is that the report needs to be made public. So copies can be found on the website, the school website, that go through the report page by page, everything they found, cost estimates, and it has to be made public in a Board of Education meeting, which is where we are tonight.
So we used that report. I think the building committee used that report when you actually put the RFP out, correct?
Correct, absolutely. The report was the basis of the RFP.
And then that's also in phases, right?
And that is in phases. So the $13.2 million grant is phase one. And that deals with the oldest, most critical equipment in the complex.
What would phase two be?
Next
So-
oldest.
What would phase two be and how much would that be?
So the subsequent phases haven't been crossed out yet.
Okay,
So the goal is to get the entire complex on what's called a direct outside air system, which is 100% fresh air, and it's heated or cooled as it may need to be, so that you have constant air circulation throughout the building. That is very expensive to install, very expensive to maintain and upkeep. Every cubic foot of air you bring in has to be heated or cooled. But that is the best way to move forward for, for the health of staff and students. So phase two, Matt, would be those systems that are not quite as old,
possibly this century.
possibly in this century. And so there's no cost estimates to any of that yet, because
Right.
the cost changes so quickly, as does the technology.
Sure.
The equipment that is proposed for this project, by the time we get to phase 2 and 3, will possibly be outdated.
Right, all right. Thank you.
Bill, as part of phase one, it's my understanding, if I remember correctly, that there's a BMS building management system in phase one.
That is correct, and that was one of the priorities for phase one, only because the pneumatics that are throughout most of the complex at this point they're reliable. They work very well. As long as there's somebody around that knows A, how to operate them, and B, how to repair them. And those folks are getting very scarce day by day.
I think it's important that we understand the building management system is something that can help us on days like tomorrow, where if Melinda calls school first thing in the morning, Bill can log in and turn things down as a non-inhabitable day, right? Versus not. So I think I'm glad that's in phase one. And I think that'll help us with some of our energy costs and whatnot moving forward. It'll also help Bill maybe keep some more of his hair.
Oh, no, I got a pretty good head, yeah. It's not the same color it was.
That's all I have.
You all set with that topic?
Do we need a motion to make that public? Kathleen?
Hmm?
Kathleen,
Oh,
do
okay.
we need a motion to make that report public? No, we can just. Okay.
Public.
Okay,
Moved it.
I don't have any thoughts one way or the other.
Think it was made public. It's engaging at the beginning.
Where do we
That's what I
stand?
thought.
When will we know on the RFP bids, or when are they?
So when we put in the application, they said they expected to have word out by March.
Okay.
What year?
Okay.
We wondered that as well.
Okay. So we'll start with the administrative reports. Ms. Granada.
Good evening, everyone. So, for the middle school, I think that the first thing I want to say is we have perfect attendance in grade 6 on January 23rd. Congratulations to grade 6. Secondly,
we met with the HDT coordinator who came in for the tutoring. And she gave our school at the middle school a huge compliment. She said that out of all the schools that they are dealing with, their company, that Thompson by far, the students are the most respectful and compliant and are going and taking advantage of the tutoring service. So I was, you know, as a Superintendent Smith and I were very proud to be part of that conversation. Also, we had our first semester perfect attendance and honor roll awards. We had the hot chocolate bar, and the kids seemed to enjoy that. And again, congratulations to our spelling bee, the Superintendent Choice Award. That was it on the middle school. Started the high school. It's very exciting to see the CNA program award that the students get pins. What a highlight for the Thompson School District. That was amazing. Big shout out to the support staff at the high school for being very open and working together. Shout out to the leadership team. Also, the students were great, giving me some highlights of what was going on. And Friday, I was part of the award ceremony where we gave out many awards. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you. Larry?
Hi folks, a lot of good stuff happening at the elementary school, as always. You know, I always brag about the elementary school, but a lot of fun things happening. The teachers, there's a number of teachers that have been OG trained at the elementary school. I've had the opportunity to go in the classrooms. It's really a structured approach to teaching literacy, and these teachers are really doing a bang-up job of that, and we're getting a lot of great feedback from parents. Emotional parents calling the school, crying. You know, my child is actually able to read now, so it's truly been really a life changer for some of these families. So kudos to Mrs. Smith for bringing that in. I will be getting pied in the face on February 23rd. There's going to be a lot of teachers and students that are going to want to see that. So that will go to the grade that gets the most pennies in the penny war challenge that's being held by the PTO. Kudos again to the PTO. They just do a lot of great stuff for the elementary school. We have a Valentine's Day bingo coming up on Wednesday. I'm going to be it's going to be the 3rd annual Zoom Valentine's Day bingo at Mary R. Fisher Elementary School. Students really enjoy it. They love it. And it's great to be a part of. Will Parker came to the elementary school last month. Once again, thank you to Mrs. Smith. Will Parker and his make-believe band. The kids really had a great time. Hoodsie cups, ice cream cups were provided to those students that participated in math and reading challenges. We had National Popcorn Day we celebrated on January 19th. We celebrated the 80th day of school by dressing up in the 80s gear. A lot of teachers had a great job. I would say personally, Mrs. Canoyer probably had the best get up for the 80s challenge. 4th grade students recently completed the National Assessment of Educational Progress. We had 50 randomly selected 4th grade students that participated in reading and math. And kudos to those students. Really stressful for 4th grade students. You got the NEWA, well, not NEWA anymore, but you got the SBACs, you got the national assessment tests, you got interim assessments. The teachers are challenged, the students are challenged, but they come to school every day excited to be there. And then finally, we had a mid-year math screening for kindergarten students and 1st grade students. And that was completed by Patty Chenille and the reading specialists. And yeah, everything's going great. Can't complain. I could, but nobody would live.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Danielle.
Okay. All right, Dr. Jones.
Yes, good evening. As Superintendent Smith, spoke to earlier, we have 856 students. Of the 856 students, we currently have 181 students under special education with 23 referrals, which puts us at a total of 204. Our IEP, 504s rather are at 81. Our out-of-district placement is at 20. That is up from 18 last month, so we're up 2. Bradley School, Wyndham County has a total population of 23. 8 of our 20 are in that program. We are neighboring 7 other districts in the Bradley program. In terms of prevalence rate, our percent is 23.83%. I should say decrease from 23.89%. We're currently 14th in the state. When you look at the total population in terms of special education, that percentage that I put on this report, or 14th out of 167 districts. When you look at that, something to keep mindful of. We're still utilizing 5 vans to transport our students to other placements. So of the 5 vans, we're working with 7 other outplacement schools. I wanted to just make note of, again, the excess cost this year. It's $96,214. Last year it was $96,709. So it's slightly lower. That's the threshold of tuition and transportation combined. Of that, anything that goes over, we would receive 72.86%. Last year it was 76%, so it's slightly lower. Right now, we're on target to claim 4 students that are outplaced that would meet that threshold. And then just lastly, we're just running some data today at the high school. To date, in terms of out-of-school suspensions, we had 12 students that have been suspended from day 1 to where we are today for use of vaping. I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention as well. Referrals last year total, we had 36 referrals to special education. This year we're at 54, so quite an uptick in that area. And then lastly, some open positions, some paraprofessionals that we're still looking for. Yes. Anna.
You said 12 students have been suspended for vaping. That is for this whole year? That's from day 1 to today?
Mhm.
Okay. Are there repeat suspensions from the same students?
1.
Thank you.
Kathleen.
Yes.
So it's 14 out of 167. We're 14th in the state. What are we regionally? Wyndham County. Would you mind for next month, please? Thank you, sir. If we can get that email to us sooner, I'd like it for budget season if possible. Please. Thank you.
I didn't hear the beginning of the question.
So you mentioned that we're 14 out of 167 statewide. I asked for regionally. So Wyndham County, where do we sit? I think it'd be interesting to know where we sit when it comes to budget season.
Good question. Yeah, we'll get that for you.
Might be a nice slide to add.
Fact.
Chris,
Yes.
can you just repeat the percentage for that we get for the reimbursement over the 96 too?
Yeah, so this year, as long as the threshold of tuition and transportation, as long as that hits 96,214, we would get 72.86% of anything that goes over that.
Okay, thank you.
And just as a sidebar to that, we anticipated 180,000 reimbursement this year, but the new calculation that we received, we're down to 150, correct? Yes.
And is the reimbursement percentage down? Is that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
From 6 to 72. The 7, that's what I thought.
76 and 72, that's actually.
It isn't the percentage, it's that the state had, put money aside. They actually were supposed to increase, cost share reimbursement. However, there was a miscalculation done, and every single district has seen a decrease in their reimbursement.
Right, the percentage of reimbursement.
Yes. The actual cash reimbursement, which we thought was gonna be 180 this year, is now down to 150. And every single superintendent is complaining about
I have a question, but you go ahead, go ahead.
Is anybody at the state accountable to anybody else? They just randomly seem to just do stuff and say, oh, oops.
Yeah,
that. That's exactly right.
And there's no accountability? Okay, just making sure. I got that
So,
memo.
so because of the miscalculation, the money doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So.
But there's a surplus.
I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah,
Thank you.
let's not make it up.
No.
But yeah, I don't have to. Can you explain to me, just so in layman's terms, so I understand? What does we're currently 14th in the special education prevalence rate? What does that mean? Are we
Yes.
we have,
It's just in relation to like every board report, I put the percent on there.
yeah,
So I just wanted to just kind of hone into that. So when you look at other districts, the total population of students in the district in comparison to the number of students that qualify for special education, our percent is 14th out of the 167. We have the 14th highest percent.
okay. Based on the number of our
Yes.
population, okay.
But I will get you the.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yep.
It's more of a statement. I'm dumbfounded as to how we've reached out to our state reps and our senators and we've gotten bumped down. We're not even going in the right direction to help us. I think this is where we really need to have Wyndham County's Board of Ed members get together and hold somebody accountable, as Matt said, like this, we're going in the wrong direction. We're asking for help and they're giving us less help. And, you know, and we're 14th in the state, highest ranking, like how does that even happen? Like what are all our emails and all of our stuff going to, where this is just, it's got to, I don't know how we do it, but we have to stand on a higher platform, whether we start writing newspapers or we start reaching out to other Board of Ed members, or we start bringing them back in and asking them how this even happens.
Are the referrals that you're seeing, are they coming from mostly new students or students that have been in district for many years?
It's a combination. A lot of kids coming out of RTI too. Can't stop that. I'm in with services.
Right.
That kind of rang the bell to the disproportionality with the speech and language.
Yeah.
Kind of us about that when they come in with services already.
Do you think that it's still related to the pandemic, or, I mean, what's
A lot of those preschoolers are that. That was that year.
Mhm.
We were 24% before the pandemic too, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder if the bar has been lowered to qualify for special ed.
So.
I don't know, because I don't think so. I can't go, you know, I can only go back to when my kids were in school. I can't go back to when I was in school because didn't have those kind of services to the extent that they have them now. But when my kids were in school, they didn't have, and maybe they suffered for it. You know, but there weren't as many special, I mean, they were dyslexic, there were special reading teachers, and there were those types of things. And my son went to the learning clinic. because he had ADHD. But there weren't the services in the school so much that we provide all the students today. I guess there weren't as many state mandates is maybe what I'm trying to say.
I think they do a much better job identifying now than when our kids were in school.
That's
And so they're really doing a bang up job, but
at a cost.
at a cost, well, it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, at a cost to the district, but certainly not a cost to the student.
No, I mean, it's great that they're doing this, but
For me, when I think of that question that you asked, Kathleen, and I think of, I've been doing this for 40 years. I think when we start to think about response to intervention and the types of things that we're asking our classroom teachers to do at the tier 1 level, classroom level, there's a lot more pressure on the classroom teacher to try to meet the needs of the students before they even go down the road of special education. By the time they get to an RTI team, they've already exhausted, the teacher has already exhausted everything that he or she can do. And now they're looking to the support service providers to give additional support. And so that's the area that we've been trying to build up over the years, right? Is that tier 2, tier 3 intervention so that the students can get even more. So I think Bill's right. We've identified students early on. We've asked our classroom teachers to go really above and beyond general, teaching to the middle. That no longer happens. And then even at that, with that level of support, we still have students, a good chunk of students that still need additional support beyond what the classroom teacher can give. And it's those services that you've seen escalate because of that population. And but over time, you are right. We have identified more, but I think that we are looking harder at our students. And there's a big push K3 that all students need to be reading on grade level by grade 3. Or the gap gets so wide that we can't remediate it. So that's why that whole right to read bill is very important. And they've forced us into certain reading programs because they believe that if we follow that, we're going to see less kids in tier 1 interventions and less kids in special ed. But that whole response to intervention, I think, is it 20 years old now, Chris? Yeah, it's about 20 years old. So
I was just gonna say, 20 years ago, the student had to be 2 years behind grade level before they qualified for services, which was almost criminal, but that's the way they did it.
And held back.
And they would be held back, and if they don't learn to read by 3rd grade, they'll never read with fluency. It's just the way it is. So the early identifying is so important.
We're also asking a lot more of our students younger,
yes.
which is a huge thing. And I do believe that, I don't know, Chris, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I do believe that the new 5 years by September 1st, we will see a reduction. Because I think a lot of the kids that qualify for services tend to be on that younger side. So we're giving some of those kids time to just be kids. And, when we were all in kindergarten, we didn't have to read and write, and they do now. So that has made a big difference.
no, I agree with you. I think it's a great thing. I mean, if it's something maybe we should be proud of for 14, because we're catching them. And we're giving them the services they need. Yes, yes.
So the 14th number doesn't scare me or alarm me. I think where 14 concerns me is if we're 1 or 2 in Windham County, I want to understand why we're 1 or 2 in Windham County. And I think some of that might be because we are a border town, right? There is stuff from Rhode Island, there is stuff from Massachusetts. We are there is a rental population, and I don't want to put it specifically on this, but there's a rental population in town that is transient, and they will go where the services are best. And as even if my child needs it and there's better services in another district, I'm going to move to that district to do what's best for my child. So I think understanding some of these numbers and understanding where we sit regionally, I don't expect that you can pull numbers from Webster or Burrville or any of the borders, but if you can, that would definitely help us in this discussion as well. I'd like to understand regionally where we sit, because maybe we're one or two regionally, and that kind of gives us a little bit more clue of where we sit budget wise and why we sit where we sit budget wise. And maybe Hartford's not paying attention to the northeast corner, and we need to get into.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you, Chris.
Mr. Douglas?
Pleased to say we had another solid month from the finance perspective. The revised budget's unchanged at 20.6 million, year-to-date spending at 10.8. Actually down a bit from where we were at this time last year. Year-to-date encumbrances are almost spot on to where we were last year. So when you add all that up, some indicators are some good indicators are showing, which is great to see. Projected spending at 19.6 million, 95% of the budget. At this time last year, we were projecting 99.4%. I know, as I've mentioned a couple months in a row, that will tighten up as we get closer. But as of right now, it's some pretty good news. And I would also like to emphasize that there are no departments currently in a deficit, including. So. As you guys know, the budget process is humming right along. Thanks to everybody for chipping in. From the teachers all the way up through the administration, everybody has been really very helpful in pulling together that package. As Kathleen mentioned earlier, tomorrow night is the second joint meeting of the Finance and Board of Selectmen on the town side. The first meeting, I think, went pretty well. Both boards enjoyed, I think, getting the information directly from the directors on the town side. I hope that continues, and I hope it helps tighten up the process over there.
Okay, thank you. Bill Birch, do you have anything to add to your,
I just want to stop by saying that as of 3 o'clock this afternoon, all the snow removal equipment ran.
That's about it.
Best fingers.
Updates tomorrow with the snow.
Including the new hand-me-down?
Including the newest hand-me-down. We've done well on fuel oil so far this winter, due to the mild weather. However, I found in the last few years that spring comes later and later, and we tend to use that farther into May, sometimes even June. In sticking with the HVAC theme, we did identify today there is a leak on a hot water coil that services the high school gym. And we looked at it today, we identified the leak, and we are containing it. But this is something that, we're not gonna fix it until we shut the boilers off, that's for certain. And at that, it is, it's gonna be a major project to get that heating coil out of there. And probably substantial expense to replace it. If the HVAC grant comes through and the unit is replaced, then maybe some chewing gum is gonna keep it together until the new equipment comes in. But it's gonna be a major job one way or the other.
okay,
Kathleen, just a quick question. So if something were to happen with that heating coil, are we looking at potential damage to the gym floor?
No.
Okay.
The units, actually, the units are over the locker rooms that we just remodeled.
Okay. All right.
But they're more durable than the gym floor.
Right, yeah, it's a big gym floor and those are expensive.
Is that unit from this century or last century?
The unit dates to 1986.
Okay.
So technically.
Last century, well, that's what I meant by last century, yeah, definitely, okay.
lifetime.
I'm from the last century too. No, I don't think so either.
Okay. Heather, Ms. Byrne?
So in the last 30 days, we've resolved around 251 tickets. That number doesn't seem to be going down, so my technicians are very busy. Today we rolled out a new digital hall pass system in the high school. So the students are requesting their hall passes all online now. I think it was pretty successful, and it's a program we can build upon. They'll be able to request appointments with guidance counselors, so they don't have to go down, wait in line, and waste precious class time. So I think it will be a good thing. We're slowly rolling out, last year we purchased flat panels for the middle school. We're slowly rolling those out. This year, Bryce is doing individual training with teachers, which works really well. He's teaching them all kinds of fun tricks with it, like they could use their phones as a laser pointer. They can use a polling feature, so the students, the teacher could ask a question and the students can respond with their Chromebooks, and they'll see in real time on the screen what the responses are with that. So that's really fun. Right now, I'm looking into partnering with other schools for power school support. I'm just finding that other schools out there are definitely willing to help us, setting up some reports and various other things that we might be struggling with. Now that we've closed semester 1, it's a lot different. We actually have data in the system now, as opposed to over the summer when we were all trained and set this up, there was really not much going on. So, so right now, as we're getting more comfortable with it, we're getting a lot more requests from secretaries and whatnot. I think that's about it. Danette's continuing with her state reports as usual. Thank you.
How did we do on hardware last month? Did we lose any?
I'd have to look. I don't believe so. I know we're constantly replacing Chromebooks, but I'm not sure. I think for the most part, we've been able to repair all of them
And the 251 tickets were within the school.
and the town hall.
Okay, do we know how many of those were school?
No, but I can find out.
Please, for next month, please. If we can break that out, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Data guy, sorry.
Sorry, better to have.
Well, if the town's got 200 tickets and we got 51,
Right.
maybe we'll send our students down there to teach money. Yeah. Just kidding. I mean, it's the finance director.
Yeah, I account for you.
Hello. We currently have a elementary school nurse position open that we are interviewing a candidate on Friday for. We have 3 paraprofessional positions, 1 in the elementary school, 2 in the middle school that we are canvassing applicants for. It still is a process with that group. We've had a couple candidates apply, but unfortunately they either do not call back or they don't show up for their interview. I currently closed the survey this morning. So I'm waiting for the results to start trickling into the system. So I checked it before I left today and there were no results in there yet. I received our fingerprinting system last week. It was installed. Heather, Bryce, Patrick, myself, and Danielle will all be trained on the system. I had 2 people come in for fingerprints last week, 1 a catapult, high dosage tutor, and I had a substitute come in last week. One person took 12 minutes to come back with our state and FBI results, and the other person took an hour and a half. Instead of waiting a week or 2 weeks. So that is a game changer for us. We will get the results quicker, we'll be able to onboard quicker and get them into the classroom quicker.
Kathleen?
Yes. Do either of you have, not to put you on the spot, but do either of you have the final percentages from the survey of as far as schools?
They were gonna go out tomorrow. Michelle sent those to me today. I didn't get it out today.
No, that's
but-
fine.
Yeah,
We'll see
we're
tomorrow.
at this, about the same 300 parents that fill out. But the good news is the faculty and staff responses were good. So we've got and that was the point, right? So we do have very good response from the faculty and staff. And the students, obviously, because the teachers, did that during class. So those surveys are pretty robust. And the parent surveys are around like 312, I thought I saw this morning. Yeah, and so we'll put out the final percentage, but Mary R. Fisher was ahead the whole time. So Larry and his PBIS team and I will figure something out for the students at Mary R. Fisher.
He likes to be pie.
Software was,
I said he enjoys being
very
pie.
easy to use. It was very easy to create the surveys once they had, obviously with every system and every company we use, there's always a hiccup here and there. But once I was given the access I was supposed to give, creating everything, getting the results, everything came like spot on every day. It was a great system. And again, and I've said that before in the meeting, they were amazing to work with.
Great.
Any question I got, they were super responsive. They were right there. There are tutorials for me to go in and start to look at, every phase is tutorials for me to do, or a live webinar, I can go on and actually talk to a instructor about something. It was a great program.
So I expect that the results will be ready for the March board meeting. That's
yeah.
realistic, right?
Absolutely.
Kathleen? Kathleen? So obviously, I was a part of doing some of this, but I will say that, and we knew it was kind of very robust and very thorough, which we knew going in. Some of the parent feedback and a little bit of staff feedback was that it was really lengthy
Long.
and took a lot of time.
So,
People with multiple children had to do it twice.
yes.
So, and I totally get it. So, and I know, and we knew this going in, but I think as a first pass, I think it's awesome,
Yeah.
and definitely if we continue with it in future years, obviously it would be worthwhile to zone in on the critical aspects that I think we are trying to really
Yeah.
call out of it.
Now that we've seen it.
Right.
Exactly. We've seen everything that it's gonna come out to. There's ways that
Yes.
this can be, and you can, the one thing I did find out, because I am actually working on a diversity, equity and inclusion project with Melinda and Danielle. You can actually go in and you can tailor things, so there's actually background demographics that were in the family survey, but not in the student survey or the faculty survey, so those can all be tailored in. I can send out just a background survey for our faculty if I need to. So it is a great program. So.
Yeah, we're hoping that the results, once we get them and it's analyzed, that we can kick out a lot of those questions that
Right.
aren't gonna matter.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Shannon? Grower, you're on Zoom?
Good evening. I guess I just want to say everybody should keep washing their hands frequently. We still have COVID around, a lot of strep throat, and there's some norovirus out there, which is a stomach virus. There's not any big pockets of it in any of the schools, but it's just kind of around and about. We hover around 20 to 25 kids out per day in each school. I'm able to order free COVID tests still through the Department of Education, and that we can do weekly, depending on what our needs are. I've sent one order in and received it back. I also have to order from Marianapolis, so I've been doing that. And I think that's about it. Michelle mentioned that we have the opening for the nurse in elementary. His last day is March 1st. And I don't know if anybody has any other questions for me.
Questions for Shannon? Thank you, Shannon. Have a good night.
Thank you.
And that's it for the admin reports. You had an item for old business?
Yes, for the surveys in,
The survey we talked about.
right, just to reiterate what Heather said, there were numerous complaints about the length and a lot that they weren't able to drill down to respond to what they wanted to provide responses for.
Okay.
So something to keep in
Read
mind.
through it. Read through it. I didn't answer it, obviously, but I read through it. And it was long.
Yeah, so I think it was long, so I heard the same, I had some feedback from some parents in town and some staff. That it was long and, they would have liked to have been prepped for the length of it. Be prepared to spend an hour to 2 hours answering. I mean, if you're going through them thoroughly,
Mhm.
it took a fair amount of time
Wow.
to go through and answer the questions. I think it was 141, 140.
Yeah.
And parents were 100, the parent survey was 131 times 2 kids. So it does take a level of time. And I thought when we discussed this, we were gonna kind of make a smaller chunk at the first pass. I thought that's what we had discussed, but I think if we do it again, and we are able to focus it on a much smaller question set, I think we'll get a lot higher participation. I think the rumors got around that it took time. I think people got 30 questions in and gave up. I do know myself, I attempted it twice and just said, finally, I better do this at 11 o'clock at night because there's no way I'm getting this done during the day. I can't with the attention span at work. So just that's my feedback, and that's feedback I heard from other staff and other parents as well, that it was just exhaustively long.
Yes.
I heard the same feedback as you guys, that it was long and that people weren't able, like Jeff said, to. They didn't really have the questions, I guess, that they were looking for about the climate, about interactions. And also I had quite a few people ask me what some of the questions meant, so maybe some of the language.
Yeah, so after this first pass, because it's a baseline year, I think we can pull back on, once we see the results, I think it's gonna give you a good flavor of what kind of questions that are redundant, we don't want to use anymore, and take that when they're doing their presentation, and pull it back. There might be questions there that the board specifically really wants on, and we might whittle it down to 10 or 20 questions. That way it'll be more doable.
Yes.
I know I did not do the survey. I don't have a child in school. But if I'm doing any kind of survey, I kind of like doing surveys just because if somebody's voice needs to get heard, it's fine, great. Half hour is kind of a limit. I mean, if I'm doing it, yeah, after that, it's like, so I'm just saying,
No, I totally understand.
yeah,
Process was to leave it how it was,
Yeah.
not whittle anything down, so that we would have a baseline on it.
Right.
So this is all great feedback. I do know it was long.
right,
I had many staff members stop me and email me.
yeah, sure you did.
No, it was very long.
Yep.
But they did it for me.
Yep.
I think I had it up on my computer, started going through it, and then had to walk away, and when I came back, it was back to 0 again.
Timed out?
Start.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So it's like I was at 35 and now I gotta start again, and then I get to 35 again.
Oh, that's brutal.
And I didn't remember my responses from the last round, so we get a question again, it's like a test all over again.
Okay.
Good. All right. Any new business that we want to discuss or have to discuss? Business? We have some correspondence. It's in your packet. There's a thank you card from Michael Mugello.
And just to give you some context on that, Michael runs EWIB, and they were the agency that funded the cost for the CNA certification program, the workforce board, and they also were invited when Congressman Courtney came to visit. And so they were really impressed with the networking that Michael Joyce and myself and everybody did to enhance the pathway. So they brought in a team of people from across the state and asked our team a lot of questions about, well, how did you do this? Because what they're, I guess, impressed about is the fact that a little school with 213 students was able to develop pathways and basically put together a lot of different agencies and funding sources to make it work. So they wanted to get inside our heads and ask how we went about that. And, you know, Mike Joyce, one of the movers and shakers up there at the high school, you know, he said this didn't happen overnight. This has been happening for years now, and it's just all come together at the right time. And so, you know, we were able to share what we knew, and we learned a little bit from them. And we're hoping that we're going to maintain that relationship with EWIB, and hopefully they'll consider funding us another year for the certification. So we were happy about that, and the thank you note was very lovely.
What is EWIB?
It is the Eastern Connecticut Workforce Board Initiative Board. So they do have some dollars because they're trying to stimulate high need areas like nursing assistants and other areas like in EWIB, East Electric Boat. So they're interested in that pathway, trying to find good paying jobs for citizens in the state.
Right. So is EWIB able to help place
They do.
graduates of these programs?
So we have another agency that's kind of an offshoot called CT Ready. And CT Ready has an employee that comes out to the high school 1 to 2 days a week. And what she's doing now specifically is working with the CNA students to have them get their resumes ready. You know, there's sign-on bonuses and all sorts of little advantages now to kind of entice people to apply. So they're schooling the students on what to look for. And then they're also working on getting the students that are interested in applying to Electric Boat, getting their resumes in. So they're here once or twice a week. Michelle, she comes twice a week. Yeah, she comes twice a week. And she spends a good amount of time with our students. So we're hoping that that's going to expand.
So as of now, I'm not looking necessarily for a specific, but so if somebody or CNA, I'll say graduates, is it a certificates, whatever. Are they almost, I don't want to say the word guaranteed, but they're basically, they can come out and get a job tomorrow.
Actually, on the night of the pinning ceremony, Kyle Kramer, the CEO from Day Kimball Hospital, brought a welcome bag because they did hire one of our CNA graduates. And so they gave a little bag to her. But they were really trying to entice some of the other students to apply.
Yep.
Because they put an investment there, but there was a method behind their madness, right? They want a pipeline to some workers, but a lot of the students are going to do that for a summer job or,
Yep.
you know, after school. So your daughter was.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, she's 16 though, she can't work at Day Kimball, but Kyle Kramer's working the legislation where if a 16-year-old can get the certification,
Yeah.
a 16-year-old should be able to work.
Right.
So they're trying to work with the hospital. She could work in a nursing home, but she can't. So he did encourage her that she would be the first person he lets know. Or something like that. But yeah, it was a great night.
Yep.
And very proud of all those students.
That was a lot of work on top of their regular school work.
I'm sorry, I missed the. I'll be up for next.
The idea that all 14 passed is a good testament
impressive.
to the instructor. She worked really hard with them, and the kids were right there with her. So
Now, will she be a regular person like for next year?
So-
I do know, like, because having my son's girlfriend took the class as well and received her certification, they loved her.
yeah,
So I just didn't know how that worked in terms of.
so she's an employee of Connecticut State, Community College, campus. So she was hired through them to us, but she would love to come back.
Yeah.
So I think that's, I think that will happen.
Okay, yeah,
And we already have 16 students signed up for next year.
yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. It's meeting a need that the students, when we surveyed the students, that was one of the pathways that they were interested in.
Thank you. Definitely, congratulations.
Okay, we have another, CABE, I guess you new members got this letter already, for those of you who are not new anymore, it's a welcome letter to the new members of the board. And you got it with a packet, and you got yours. Right. We all got ours. I don't think we had to go to the orientation to get my packet, but we all got welcome packets and duties, so. Okay, any citizens' comments? I don't think we have any citizens left out on the floor. Any citizens' comments from the Zoom audience? And
I'm gonna make it quick. I just want to say thank you to Bryce. He was invaluable at the elementary school PTO movie night. He was great. Thank you to Danielle for fixing the snafu that we had with the school dude for making sure we had tables and everything, and that program went out without a hitch. So thank you.
Yes, we are grateful. We are grateful to Bryce for many reasons, right, Heather?
our next budget workshop is February 21st. It's a Wednesday.
I will not be able to.
6 o'clock here in the media center. I may not be here, Bill. Steve's getting operated on Tuesday.
I got you.
I may be zooming in, or I may be driving back from Stanford.
I have a shift at the salon,
So, thank you. Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yeah.